Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at NECA's Gargoyles Brooklyn, and I'm not spinning him around because his wings might be even the most annoying out of all of them. They're very wide. And this one is very different from the other Gargoyles in a lot of ways, so there's going to be a little bit more to talk about here. It's maybe the best handled release so far? Maybe. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands with his legs bent a little bit, not a ton, but probably a reasonable amount since they're going to be bent at some degree. To some degree. About 7 inches to the very top of his horns, which makes him just about, let's call it 18 centimeters. Here he is up against Darwin, Brooklyn being the shortest of the Gargoyles so far. About the same height scale-wise, not counting the horns or the hair, like if you're actually looking at the skull. Okay, let's do a quick question of the day. Do you prefer an airbrush style shading or a dry brush style shading? Goliath, all the previous Gargoyles have had airbrush style shading. This guy has entirely different shading, which is the first thing I want to talk about. It is very different. The entire body is covered with both colors. I mean, in the crevices it's dark, in the high spots it's light, and it's because it's a dry brush style shading. All the high spots got hit with paint to be the brighter red color, and then the low spots are dark. The only place he has airbrush style shading is on his forehead right here, which my finger made the focus lose. Okay, so you can see the airbrush style shading on the forehead, under the hair, above the eyebrow. That's how all the other Gargoyles have looked everywhere. This guy does not have that. This looks much better. Covers everything, it brings the figure to life much more, and it's easier to execute. Some of the other ones, especially Goliath, had some really weird spots as a result of it. This guy, the only real flaw with it is there's not as much of the light red on this bicep as it could be, but it looks good. It looks so much better. Same thing with the loincloth, although I think Hudson's kind of looked like this too. Painted the same way as the body, looks nice. Felt is painted well. I do like his head sculpt a lot. I think they nailed that particular look pretty much exactly the way they should have, though his eyes are very googly. Don't love that at all. NECA, you gotta get your eyes fixed. The Ninja Turtles are half the time googly, half the time perfect. This guy is very googly. Very unfortunate. His hair is a little bit weird because it's like a silver instead of white, and it has like a tealish, a very pale teal for shading. Doesn't look bad on this head. I'll show you on the other head. It doesn't look great. I'll take it, but let's do another question of the day. Do you guys like metallic hair? I get why companies do it because hair is kind of shiny, but to me it just looks off because hair is not exactly metallic, and it tends to look weird to me when hair is shiny on a figure. But let me know what you guys think. So his wings do have shading throughout. It's not as purposeful as we've seen on other figures. I don't know if you can see. It's kind of sporadic looking. I don't know what they were going for exactly, but it's a little bit weird. Doesn't look bad, but it's a little bit weird. Back of the wings, still metallic. That's how it's been the whole time. And it looks pretty good. Yeah, it's not... There's some weirdness going on here, but overall, I do think this style of shading better suits the figure and just looks better in general. Because it doesn't have to be as purposeful. Like, you just cover the whole thing and it's good. Whereas the other one, it's very hard to make it look right. Yeah, I think it looks good. The wings are by far the most annoying that I've handled because they're so skinny and wide. There's no good way to pose this guy, really. So yeah, I'm going to make the argument again for the A-shaped wings. I'm guessing NECA figured if they gave the A-shaped wings first, fewer people would want to buy a secondary set. Whereas if they gave wings like this first, most people who buy the figures are going to want that secondary set of wings. So that's my guess. Or even if they have to release a whole new wave of figures, same figures with new wings, that's more likely to sell than a new wave with open wings. So that's my guess. But aesthetically speaking, this looks pretty good. I'm going to go 8 out of 10 for the weirdness in the wings and the eyes and the hair. But the body, I think, does look much, much better. And the sculpt is very nice, too. Alright, so as far as accessories go, we have 2 open hands, 2 fist hands, and then 2 gripping hands. Decent enough spread. For the head, we do have the alternate yelling head with the whited out eyes. Looks very good. His shading on the hair back there is not as bad on top as on the underside, but it is a little bit heavy and non-uniform on the top of the head. But on the underside of the head, it looks ridiculous. It looks really, really bad. So I don't like that at all, but I do like the sculpt and the eyes on that head. We do get his sunglasses, which are not transparent, by the way. We get the paper that he has to look at, which I don't remember why it exists, but it does, and it's done really well. That's nice. And then we get his weapon, which he can hold. So not the craziest spread of accessories. He's probably the smallest gargoyle so far. Yeah, I think he's smaller than the women. Well, no, he's probably not. He's about the same size as the females, but also has fewer accessories, it seems, other than Angela. So, good enough spread. I'll go 8, but nothing impressive. All right, now as far as articulation goes, there's something that's new here. Or at least it's good. I don't know if it's new. I can't remember. My brain's gone. But the head is on a double ball peg for the main head, and of course the hair still gets in the way, so that blows. But his neck is also articulated, and I don't think any of the other ones had an articulated neck. It doesn't offer a ton of range. Let me pop the head off. So the neck, it's the head joint here, the head to neck connection. It would be much better if he didn't have long hair and wings in the way, but it works well enough. But then we also get an articulated neck, which doesn't offer the best range, but it does, with a little bit of force, offers some range. And I'm pretty sure he's the first one to have that, so that's kind of cool. Definitely helps with nuance posing if you're willing to spend the time to get it just right. For the shoulders, they get up to just shy of horizontal, not a ton of range. They definitely are favoring aesthetic. Rotation-wise, you're okay until your muscles hit your other muscles. They have the pecs coming out really far up here, which is a little bit iffy for posability. But yeah, technically you have the range. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbow works no problem. Perfectly good range there. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge. All right, for his torso, it's just a waist twist down here. So up here, the ball peg could be a little bit tighter, but does offer pretty good range. I think you're going to be fine with that. And then, like I said, that does twist down here. For the wings, they don't have the same problem as Angela and Demona. Luckily, or at least I haven't noticed it yet, they seem to ratchet around pretty well without anything popping or getting loose. But it's still too heavy of a ratchet. Posability is not great. These wings are just awful, honestly. And the number of people who have told me they're not going to get into this line as a result of the wings, it's super unfortunate that NECA went that route. The hinge isn't as problematic as before, but it also might be because it doesn't have anywhere near the force of retention. So good luck. Hopefully, it doesn't seem like there's a problem yet, and so there may never be. So that's a good thing. And the other figures that had problems, we noticed it right away. So that's a good thing. For his hips, let's see how we're doing. Not loose out to the side, though not tight. It's kind of like slip sticking. It should be okay. Going forward should be fine. Thigh swivel is fine. Range going back, you can get the leg about straight down. Going forward, and not quite all the way. So definitely limited range. Thigh swivel is in there. The knee goes that far back. So a little bit better than 90. Does straighten out pretty much all the way. You do get a swivel in there if you want it. Same thing down here for the ankle. You get pretty good range going back. Pretty good range going forward. You get your ankle rocker. This joint here for the toe, which is actually what you're going to be standing on, goes pretty far back and pretty far forward, and it does rotate as well. So posability for the legs is pretty solid as usual. No real loose joint issues. That's fine. Tail is the same as before. You get your swivel and your hinge, and it's pretty bendy because he's got a pretty narrow tail, so it's all right. So yeah, it's fine. As far as the posability goes, I'd say he's up there as one of the better ones for sure. His hair is very thick and does get in the way, and the wings still blow. But otherwise, it's good. So I'll go 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. No, I'll go 8. 8 out of 10 for posability for this guy. It's still solid despite its limitations. So as far as the line goes, still disappointed about the wing situation, and the inconsistency in paint has been a problem. The last 2 that I reviewed had speckles in the spray, and this guy has no spray at all. So almost. So it's very strange, but still a really strong release on its own merits. It's really good. It's really good up against the other Gargoyles. It's really good in some ways, and in other ways it's too different. So I don't know how to do that exactly in a rating, but I'm going to give it a final rating of, just if it was a standalone release, 8 out of 10. It's really strong, and I'd probably still do 8 out of 10 with a caveat that there is some inconsistency with the rest of the line. But yeah, it's still a good figure. If you like the way it looks, grab it. If you don't get it. But if you were thinking about it, I think you will be satisfied with it. It's a pretty strong release, generally speaking. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down will do. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.